Oh, and what a day it is, baseball fans. This is the Bicoastal Baseball Podcast on the Grid Network. I'm Mike Guido. That's Dalton Brown. It is great to have you here. If you can't tell by my voice, these seasonal allergies on Long Island have been absolutely kicking my ass for the last week. So we'll kind of take it easy a little bit on the who knows? I've got something pretty, intense coming up later. But we have plenty of stuff to go over today. Regular season is finally here. We are about a week and a half into the regular season. It's been a whole lot of fun for the last 10 or 11 days or so. So, Dalton, how are we feeling, my friend? Dodgers obviously off to a great start. How are we feeling, bud?
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are doing some incredible things on the field, which has been awesome. The injury stuff is already happening. Blake Snell goes on the IL with shoulder inflammation. Last time we heard that, it was Gavin Stone, who is now surgically repaired and out for the year. So,
right.
I'm hoping that this isn't that, but I tend to assume the worst with these pitching injuries nowadays. So we'll see what happens with Snell. Obviously, the Dodgers have plenty of arms that we can continue to throw out there. And it's something you and I talked about a lot in the preseason, is the fact that the Dodgers this year are clearly preparing for pitcher injuries. Other than that, I mean, the team's 9-2, despite not once yet having Freddie, Mookie, and Shohei in the lineup together.
Yeah.
Tommy Edman's been batting third and is hitting like you'd expect a Dodgers 3-hitter to hit, which has been pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, this Dodgers team is already really flexing their depth and showing that they don't need their full deck of cards to be a 110-win team.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. And if they end up with their full deck of cards, I think it's a 120-win team. So it's been a lot of fun. They are in Washington right now, trailing 3-2. Shohei Ohtani in the fifth inning is a double away from the cycle. So watching out for that. That'd be fun. But yeah, Mike, I can't complain much. I mean, I think a couple players worth noting so far, Edman's been unbelievable. Smith and Hernandez have been great. The stars are the stars. I think it might be time to move on from the Andy Pages experiment for the time being. Not only is he not hitting, but the defense is really ugly right now in center field. So to me, I'd like to see them give Dalton Rushing a chance in the majors at some point soon here. Yeah. And I think Hai-Sung Kim or James Outman could be in the big leagues as well, depending on what route they want to go. But everything's relatively fine. I mean, you lose 2 out of 3 in Philly. Frustrating series because both – you know what, Mike? You know what? There is one thing I wanted to yell about today.
Okay. Feel free.
This game – did you watch any of the Dodgers-Phillies game yesterday?
No.
Okay. So Tyler Glasnow had a rough outing. He was fine in the first inning, and then it started absolutely pouring rain in the second inning. And he clearly could not get his footing on the mound. He clearly felt that the game should have been delayed, which I agree with. He was fighting it. He couldn't get the butt out of his cleats. He went permanently, even with nobody on, to a slide step because he was not confident in his ability to lift his leg and land on his foot without slipping and getting injured.
Right.
And he's calling time. He's asking the umpire why the game is not getting delayed. It's pouring. He also was asking for them to come out and throw some turfus down on the mound to dry it out. Phillies ground crew wouldn't or didn't do it. Glasnow struggles with his command, walks 3 straight batters because he can't find his footing. All of a sudden, he's out of the game. Vesia is giving up a grand slam, and we're down 6-2 in the second inning. As soon as that inning ends, Phillies grounds crew is on a dead sprint out to the mound to apply all kinds of stuff to it to dry it out for their pitcher. I had some beef with that. It felt like gamesmanship to me. And I don't mind a little bit of gamesmanship from a grounds crew, but not when Tyler Glasnow's health is at risk. It's not even about the game for me at that point. It's about the player's health. And Glasnow spoke to it after the game. And I think, I didn't like that. Did not make me very fond of the Philadelphia organization at the moment. Otherwise, you lose 2 out of 3, 2 very close, winnable games. I think a lot of Dodger losses are going to look that way this year. That's part of what makes them special is like that you're not going to blow them out very much. So,
yeah,
that's about all I got.
yeah. Well, listen, I think I think that's definitely fair. I mean, that was a series that I think most baseball fans had their eyes on this weekend. I think a lot of people are surprised that it went the way that it went. In the fact that the Phillies were able to take a couple of games in that series, I think that's something. Tyler Glass now had a start very much like what Carlos Rodon had today, where the guy gave up like 2 hits, but still gave up 6 runs or whatever the hell it was. So it's the way that, baseball goes sometimes. It's a shame that it is that way, or a blessing in some instances. But again, I told you before, I think 120, 125 games is I think that's the number. I think that's the number that we're going to be talking about. And like, there were a lot of people, including you, by the way, that were just like that's lofty, right? Because like stuff happens throughout the regular season. I don't know that I give a shit about any of that. Like, they are that good, I think. You're muted, pal.
I don't know why I was muted. I didn't mute myself. That was weird. I think that it's very possible. And watching the beginning of this season, it has felt like even the games that we lose, like we're overcoming deficits and putting a ton of pressure on teams. And like the 2 games that Philly won, both games they like escaped with a win barely. And whereas like we're having games where we're just coming out and just bludgeoning the opponent. And so I think, I mean, like I think if I'm being realistic, I'm going to say 110 to 112, but like it is not the most extreme edge of the bell curve to see them win 120. Like there's a world where they win 125.
Yeah, I don't think that's. Yeah, I honestly, I think that we live in a world now where that's not completely unreasonable. Okay, so by the way, we do this every show. If you haven't picked it up by now, again, Yankees, Dodgers. He's the defending world champ, so he gets to go first. So now it's my turn. I will say this: I think the Yankees right now they're coming off 2 straight losses. They just lost to the Tigers today. Casey Mize was very good today. Andrew Heaney for the Pirates yesterday was apparently Sandy Koufax, which I don't understand at all, but because Andrew Heaney is maybe one of the most hittable pitchers in all of Major League Baseball, but so that's a little upsetting to me. But the Yankees right now stand at 6-4. I'm okay with it. Sweeping the Brewers, losing 2 out of 3 to the Diamondbacks, whatever. They had to go through Corbin Burns and Zach Gallen. Like, I'm not totally upset about it. They were able to avoid facing Paul Skeens in Pittsburgh, so took 2 out of 3 there, and then just lost the season opener to Detroit in the snow, by the way. That's one of the things I'll complain about. What the fuck are we doing playing April baseball games in fucking Detroit? Okay, so the Yankees now have to go from New York to Pittsburgh and Detroit. So they stay north all of fucking April so that they got to play in 30-degree weather. They needed to move the game. They needed to move all of the games in Detroit from night games to day games because the forecast is too bad. Is that a scheduling fuck you or is that a scheduling fuck you? That's what I'll say about that. All right, so there we go. There's that. But I think that's ridiculous.
Okay, but hold on, because the Tigers are going to play home games in April regardless.
I don't give a shit. Don't give them to me. Give them to give them to Toronto Blue Jays. Don't give them to me. It's bullshit. Anyway,
please. but by the way, Clayton Kershaw threw his 7 innings of no-hit ball where everybody was pissed. He got pulled out. It was snowing in Minnesota for that game in early April, and the Dodgers got sent there. So other teams do get sent to these environments, Mike. It's not just the Yankees.
It doesn't feel like that. It didn't feel that way today. I'll tell you that much. I do find it funny, however, though, that the Detroit Lions play in a dome and the Tigers play in an open stadium. Hilarious.
Yeah. On some other show that's less jam-packed, I will give you my fully fleshed out take on rain delays and teams east of the Rockies and my feelings on that.
So Anyway, but I will say this: I think on a positive note, as far as the Yankees are concerned, I actually like what I've seen. Obviously, the torpedo thing is the big story, right? And I think the reason people cared so much is because the story kind of popped up with the Yankees, even though they've existed for a little bit longer than people know, and whatever. But like Anthony Volpe's hitting the ball pretty hard. Ben Rice is hitting the ball pretty hard. Austin Wells is hitting the ball pretty hard. Now, I'm not like going to go ahead and say that they're all going to hit 350 for the rest of the year. They're obviously off to a very good start. This is obviously one of their peaks. They will have a valley at some point. And we'll see where that goes. But certainly everybody's hitting, right? Like most of everybody in the Yankee lineup is hitting right now. Goldschmidt's playing well. Cody Bellinger seems to be the only guy I think that is struggling a little to begin the season, but virtually everybody else is hitting well. Jazz, obviously Aaron Judge is on another planet. So I can get with where the Yankees are right now. Record being that, obviously for a team that is given as much credit as they are at the beginning of the season, they stand a game over 500, which, again, that's how baseball goes. I'm not overly upset about it, but yeah, we'll discuss a little bit more because there was something that happened in the Pirates series. Again, where the extra inning game happened yesterday. We'll talk about that later because I still think the ghost runner is the dumbest fucking rule in sports. I do. I really, really do. And that game was a perfect example. So I'm okay. I'm feeling okay. I'm tempering my expectations, but I think it's hard not to feel pleased.
Sorry, I keep having to mute myself because my dog is like on a tirade and my wife is out of town, so she's not able to distract him. So it's just me trying to avoid the dog's bark. But I mean, look, the Yankees are hitting the cover off the ball. Hard not to feel pretty good about what you're seeing offensively. And, you and I were texting about it. Like, a lot of it with the Yankees this year is like just kind of ride out the storm through the first half of the season. Like if they can get through the first half of the season, 10, 15 games over 500 and hovering right around first place, I think as they get healthier as the season goes along and they get reinforcements at the deadline, that's a team that if they're in position to pull away, I think will pull away. So, 6-4 is pretty right about where you should be, probably, and if you get to 60 and 40 through 100 games, you're like, cool, like you're in a good spot, So, yeah, I mean, they look strong. I will say, and we're going to talk about it, the Red Sox look good.
They do.
That should be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for when the Yankees and Red Sox finally play each other. I don't know when exactly that is. I want to see. I'm just quickly scrolling down the schedule because I think they normally don't play each other until the middle of the season. They kind of hold off on that until the summer. Yeah, their first it'll be at Yankee Stadium. The first time they meet will be at Yankee Stadium on June 6th for a weekend series at the stadium. So it will be interesting to see that. But all right, we got plenty of stuff to go over today. So again, let's play a little game here. Okay. So I want to throw out a couple of things your way, Dalton, and I want you to tell me if these are more overreactions or if they're accurate. And again, it's very early on in the season, but this is what's fun about this. So we're just going to do this right now. So the Braves right now, the Atlanta Braves are one of the worst, if not the worst team in baseball right now, which I think is very surprising to virtually everyone because I think that there were some people that were lower on the Braves, but I don't think that they expected the Braves to be worse than Colorado. Like they are dreadfully bad at the moment. They're 1-8, worst record in all of baseball. I think, if I'm not mistaken, no team that has had this start has made the postseason in Major League history. So, Dalton, is this an overreaction or is this accurate? Are the Braves just destined to miss the playoffs?
I think that that's a pretty significant overreaction. And it's an overreaction that I'm seeing pretty commonly from people. People are, I think it's pretty common in baseball in general that what happens in the first couple weeks of the season, people will like really attach themselves to as like, oh, this must be the new reality. Listen, this team had to start their season with 4 games on the road in San Diego and 3 games on the road in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. Now, if you're a Braves fan, you're probably thinking, yeah, but we should at least go 2-5. So I get it. Starting off 0-7 is miserable and terrible and everything else, but they're really good. Like they're still really talented. That rotation pretty soon is going to be Sale, Strider, Schwellenbach. Like it's going to be a strong rotation. The bullpen has talented guys in it. Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to be back at some point to supplement a lineup that started cold, but I'm not worried about it all. Part of the reason I'm wearing the Braves hat is kind of as a pick me up for the Braves in this episode because I think they're going to be fine. Like maybe you finish April, 10-16 or something, and that sucks, but they'll be fine. I still think the Braves are going to win about 90 games. I still think they're a playoff team. I still think they're in play for the division. So I'm pumping the brakes on all of the Braves panic button right now.
Yeah, I so badly want to agree with you. The only thing that's giving me a bit of a reservation at the moment is that the National League is so good. And on the opposite side of the token, you have teams like the San Francisco Giants who are scorching hot to start the year, right? You have teams like the Diamondbacks and the San Diego Padres. And like I know we bang on the Mets all the time, but I don't think the Mets are going it. Like I think the Mets are going to be a contender for most of the year.
Yeah.
Like they've got way more. Like if they were 1-8 and they were playing in the AL Central, it'd be a different story. But they're playing in the NL East in a National League that's fucking loaded. Like that's, an issue. And the fact that virtually their entire team is playing like shit. Like it's not like, they don't even have one guy that's hitting well. They have nobody hitting well. Ozuna's not hitting well. Like it's beyond what's comprehensible to me.
Yeah, I just think that we're talking about a 9-game sample of Major League Baseball.
Sure.
Where 7 of those games are played against arguably 2 of the best teams in the league. Like it is bad. I'm not saying it's not bad, but do we really think those hitters won't turn it around? They will.
I think they'll eventually turn it around. I don't know what extent that will be. I don't think Austin Riley is all of a sudden going to turn into an MVP by the end of the year. But I also agree that, yeah, like 9 games in out of a 162 game season, it's just simply too small of a sample. And I do think, as far as they're concerned, they are the team to sort of break that streak. Like they are more than talented enough to be the team that, like, if no team's ever done it, the Braves are capable of doing so. Like they can take over a month and win 23, they can win 24 games in a month, so like I'm not, totally out on them, but it is kind of telling, if I'm a Braves fan, I'm definitely bashing my head against the wall.
Oh, for
regardless
sure.
of who I'm playing right now. I mean, it's not fun being a Braves fan right now.
Yeah, and if you're a Braves fan, it sucks that you had a full 4-game series in San Diego, 3 in LA, and then you get one rained out at home against Miami right before Philly comes to town. It's like well, that's a game we would have liked to have in our pocket right now. But
yeah, right.
Here's the other way of looking at it. Right, 1-8 sounds horrible. 6 games out of first place with 153 to go does not sound horrible. And that's what they are. They're 6 games out of leading the division. Like, are we really that? Concerned about it? Like,
no.
So that's my thing. And like they're 3 games out of the wild card.
Yeah.
And they've and I get that we're not looking at standings yet in that way, but I'm just pointing it out for context. Like this idea that like they're not going to make the playoffs, I think is absurd. I mean, if you gave me, I would still lay close to 2-1 that they make the playoffs. Like I feel pretty confidently in it.
Yeah, no, I would say that. I'm not out on them by any means necessary. It is really kind of crazy how poorly they've started, though. I think that's really something else. All right, so let's move to this. So the A's are playing baseball in Sacramento. That's been well documented before the season because they simply cannot play in Oakland anymore. That the Coliseum is done. They are waiting and waiting and waiting until they can finally move into their new home in Vegas. So the A's playing baseball in Sacramento, is it an overreaction or is it accurate, Dalton Brown, that the Sacramento experiment for the A's is a 1-year deal? What do you think?
I don't think it's an overreaction. I think it's going to be a disaster. That first of all, that series against the Cubs, like, okay, for the home opener sold out, but there are still, like, a lot of Oakland fans are showing up in Sacramento with vitriol for the ownership. Now that vitriol is contained in a smaller space. It's a AAA ballpark that is playing like an absolute launch pad and will only play as more of one as it gets hot throughout the summer. Because, Mike, I don't know if you've spent much time in the city of Sacramento in July and August. Have you ever been there in the summer?
I've never been to Sacramento, no.
Let me tell you something about Sacramento in July and August. It is the face of the sun. It is the absolute worst. It's like 105 degrees, smells like cow manure. It's awful. And I'm telling you, the grass on that field is not going to hold up because it never really does. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get hot. The ball is going to be flying out of there. They do not have the pitching staff to deal with what that ballpark is going to be as the season goes along. And I think it's going to get ugly. Like, that stadium seats about 14,000. I think you're going to see some games there with 3,000 or 4,000 where the A's are down 12-3. Like, and look, I said before the season, I think the A's are a scrappy little team. Like, I think they can score enough to hang around. And, like, I'm not saying that the A's themselves are going to be horrible. The problem for the A's is they are not, like, from a pitching perspective, they are not built to succeed in this ballpark. And that's going to be an issue for them. And I wonder, I think the optics of it for Major League Baseball over a full 162 are going to get so bad that, like, and I saw an Oakland writer talking about this yesterday. I'm not ruling out that they end up back at the Coliseum next year.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with them and their ability to go back. I don't know if they can. I don't know if they're just going to demolish it and that's not going to be enough. Like, I don't know what the story is with that, but I agree with you. I mean, the ball is going to fly out of this ballpark.
Yeah,
it's going to fly out of it's three. Okay, so, like, down the lines, it's not terrible. It's 330 and 325 down the lines, 403 to center field. But again, when it's warm, the ball fucking carries.
And it's already carrying. It's not warm yet, and it's already carrying there.
So it's going to move. So I agree with you. I think that this could very well easily just be a 1-year deal. I think just in general, and I don't think it's too hard to figure this out. But, like, the fact that Major League Baseball has 2 teams right now playing at minor league ballparks is crazy. Right.
Well,
they've got the Rays playing at George M. Steinbrenner, and then they've got the A's playing in Sacramento where the River Cats are. Like, what are we doing? It's crazy.
It's bad. It's really bad. I mean, both of these are situations where there have been years and years and years of knowing that these teams need to get their stadium situation figured out. Now
the Rays, I think, are sorry to cut you off, but the Rays are in a situation where, like their stadium got destroyed by a hurricane. Nobody likes their ballpark, but it's a big league ballpark. Like, it's big. It's,
So, yeah, I mean, obviously the Rays can't control the circumstances that happen there. I totally understand that.
Right.
But I mean, I'll put it this way. If it were a new ballpark, I don't think that that's what happens to it. Now, I'm not an architect. I don't know, but I think in general, the fact that their plan is like, let's patchwork up the Trop and just go back, like, not great.
Yeah, I don't know what other structural damage happened to Tropicana. All I know is that their roof shredded apart.
Right.
Like, I don't know how. Like, I'm surprised that because that stadium's not old, right? When did Tropicana get built? 1994 or some shit like that. Like, it's not an old stadium in retrospect.
Yeah, it's about 35 years old, which I think in modern history is old. Part of the problem with Tropicana Field, though, is like it's not holding up well, you know. And I think that there are some ballparks, or like there are some ballparks that hold up well and some that don't, and that's one that's not. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it this way: like RFK Stadium in Washington was not that old, but it was just decrepit. It wasn't holding up well, right? Like Dodger Stadium is as old as the Oakland Coliseum, but they're not similar whatsoever because one of them's been maintained and one of them was kind of just let to go to shit, right?
Well,
and I think
the Coliseum's a crapshoot. Yeah,
it's horrible, yeah. And so I think like it's one of those things where it's less about the age of the stadium and more about the condition of it. And these are both franchises that want to do everything as cheaply as possible. And I don't know. I mean, I like the fact that Fisher hasn't had to sell the A's yet, I think is an embarrassment, to put it simply.
Yeah. It's amazing how that franchise runs. It really is. Because the A's have fans. Like,
They do.
it's not like the A's don't have fans.
Yeah.
Like, they want to, like, the Coliseum was they sat like 500,000. I'm exaggerating, but like they sat a trillion fucking people in that stadium, and they've had games where every seat was full. It's not like it's impossible. Like, but they've needed to put those tarps over the upper decks in center field. But like, they're not even selling those tickets, and those are seats. Like, if people can't figure that out, those are seats that they don't even sell anymore. Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, because I went to a game there probably 4 or 5 years ago, and like it feels like they're playing in like the ghost of an old ballpark. Like concession stands closed all over the place, like sections with caution tape over them where it's just like can't go through this tunnel. It's bad. Like, and I'm sure if you go to a game at Sutter Health Park, it's probably a better game day experience than it would have been at the Coliseum.
Yeah, maybe.
But like, it's not good for the players. I mean, the press situation's horrible. The situation for the players is, I mean, it doesn't feel like they're playing a major league game. And I think that's a disservice to the sport. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm looking forward to hopefully that stadium on the Las Vegas Strip getting built because that looks awesome.
Yeah, that would be very, very cool. And by the way, just a last note on this, I think if the A's move to Vegas, they will have record attendance in their first year. Record. Oh, yeah. They are people like Vegas has proven to be a sports town. They love it there.
And it's a baseball town too. Like,
I would not surprise me at all. Yeah.
People play baseball in Vegas. Like, that's what, it's just like LA and Phoenix and the other cities in the Southwest. It's a baseball town.
Yeah. They got to find a way to get Bryce Harper back to his hometown over there. Isn't that where Harper's from too?
That is where he's from, but good luck with
that. All right, let's move to this. So the Philadelphia Phillies, we touched on this a little bit before. Philadelphia Phillies took 2 in Philadelphia from the Dodgers. I think most people, I shouldn't say most people. I think there's a good collection of people that believe that that even preseason and even now, those are the 2 best teams in the National League. We all kind of assumed that the Dodgers were head and shoulders above everybody else. Phillies take 2 out of 3. So let me pose this question to you. Okay. And I'm saying it with a smile on my face because I let me take a wild guess at what you're going to say to this one. But the Phillies proved that they are the real class of the National League. They are the top dog by taking 2 out of 3 of the Dodgers. Overreaction, is that accurate, Dalton Brown? Let me guess.
No, I mean, obviously that's an overreaction. I don't have to tell you that. But I mean, if I'm a Philly fan, I'm certainly excited about it, right? Like, to be able to beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3 times is not something very many teams are going to be able to do this year. So the Phillies are formidable. Like, as a Dodger fan going into a postseason series against Philadelphia, I'm not comfortable, right? They have, that pitching staff is unbelievable. I mean, the Dodgers got to Christopher Sanchez yesterday, but dude, he's nasty. Like he's taken another step forward for them.
Yeah.
He's throwing like 97 now. Like he's gross.
They have a real rotation. Like they have, I don't know. What is that? A top 3 or 4 rotation in the whole sport? It's got to be.
I would argue top 2. I think it's
Yeah.
number 2.
Yeah.
And the only, and like it's if the Dodgers aren't healthy, it's number 1. Like I think that their rotation is that kind of good.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Nola is basically their 5 starter if Suarez is healthy,
and he's still pretty good. Like it's not like he's a bum.
No, they're really good. I mean, look, I think the Dodgers are the class of the league, and losing 2 very 50-50 games by 1 run when you're pretty banged up, like it's not really indicative of anything. But if you're a Philly fan, it feels good.
Yeah. I never understood the people that thought Philly was on its way down. Like I never got, like, there were so many people that were just like, dude, like, and obviously, especially Met fans, but I don't want to make this about them. But like, people are like, listen, the Mets got Juan Soto, like they're the new story. Philly's getting older. Like, I'm like, dude, like, look at what they have. Like, all of a sudden, you think that JT Realmuto just is not going to do it anymore? You think Nick Castellanos is just not going to hit anymore? Like, what are we talking? Trey Turner is in what, year 3 or 4 of like an 11-year contract? Like they're still going to be pretty fucking good. Like, let's be real about what they are. And we just talked about their rotation. There is not a weak spot in their rotation, right? Zach Wheeler's one of the top 2 or 3 pitchers in all of baseball, right? Christopher Sanchez is nasty. Ranger Suarez, got Jesus Luzardo. Like, they're gross. Like, what are we talking about here? So,
yeah,
I agree. I think the Dodgers are very easily, like, to me, I'm honestly surprised that we even brought this up. But like, the Dodgers to me are still way, way, way above everybody else. But I do think the Phillies today, right now, I still think they're easily the second best team in the National League. I do. Like, and I know the Giants and the Padres are both very, very good.
We don't even talk about the Giants.
But like, well, yeah. Listen, giving credit to their hot start, but like, let's be real. I still think it's the Phillies, and then whatever.
Yeah, no, I think it's like, whatever. I mean, for me, when I look at the landscape of the National League, I think it's like Dodgers gap, Phillies gap, and then it's a big mishmash of like Padres, Braves, Mets, Diamondbacks, Cubs. Which, by the way, I'm pretty bullish on the Cubs start too. Yeah. Like, I think they're good. I think they're pretty real.
No, I definitely think they're good.
That'll be another fun series this weekend. Cubs will be out at Dodger Stadium in LA as well.
Yeah. No, I definitely think the Cubs are good. All right. Final overreaction accurate. The Yankees and Red Sox are both off to pretty fair starts to begin the year. Yankees right now are 6-4. Red Sox are 6-4 as of right now. Not that it matters all that much now, but they're tied for first in the AL East. And the Red Sox, by the way, are winners of 5 in a row. So they're off to in the last week, they've been off to a tear. They just swept the Cardinals. They just won 2 against the Cardinals yesterday, scoring 18 runs in their last game yesterday. Listen, they're both very, very good. Overreaction, or is this accurate, Dalton Brown, that the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry could be the best that it's been in years this year? What do you think?
Yeah, so here's the thing about the Red Sox. Like, the question with them is going to be their pitching. Yep. And that's not a question that's going to suddenly go away. But this offense, given the young talent that's coming up and what it's producing, is one of the best in baseball. Like, if Wilyer Abreu is this guy all year, I mean, he's not going to hit 450, right? But like, if Wilyer Abreu is like this type of like above average offensive player, and Christian Campbell pans out to be what they think he's going to be, like, this team's really, really special offensively. because you know what you're going to get out of Bregman. You know what you're going to get out of Devers. You know what you're going to get out of Duran. Like Casas, there's a lot of ceiling there, right? Like Story has shown pretty decent flashes here and there. And then, oh, by the way, Roman Anthony's going to get called up sometime soon, and that dude is a problem. So I think the Red Sox offensively are like top 5 in baseball, and if they can get just mediocre pitching, I think they can push the Yankees in the division. I really do.
Oh, I certainly think they can. I mean, I always, the Red Sox, I always thought were a little sneaky, right? Because I knew that they were going to hit, but I didn't know what their pitching staff was going to look like, right? Because outside of Garrett Crochet, I just didn't really have confidence in virtually anyone, right? Like Tanner Houck's, I think, going to be okay. You know, guys like Cutter Crawford and, you know, whoever else they got going on over there, Walker Buehler and whatever. But like, if they can pitch well enough, I think you summarized it perfectly. By the way, Rafi Devers was off to a treacherous start for the first few games. Like, and it was like he wasn't putting the ball in play, and he was looking foolish doing so. Like, what was it? Like his first 18 at bats, he struck out 15 times or something. Like he had like an 80% K rate. Like it's unbelievable. Oh, and by the way, he at this point right now he has an 825 OPS.
He's gonna be fine.
Yeah, he'll figure it out. So, but yeah, no, they're definitely interesting. And I think as far as like the Yankees go, let me throw this out to you. Again, it's super, super early. What are your impressions, Dalton? Because here's the other side of this. Where are the Yankees today as they were compared to what they were last season, right? Because what I see from the Yankees this year is this feels more late 90s Yankees than last year's team did. And I'm not saying they're going to win 110 games or 120 games, but what I'm saying is like the star power might be less, but the baseball team might be better. Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense if you're watching the first 10 games of this season in a vacuum. I'm not sold on it yet. Like, I'm not sold on Trent Grisham being an all-star. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sold on Anthony Volpe and Ben Rice being like these guys offensively. Now, if those guys each even took a small step forward this year, it's going to be a really good lineup. You know, I mean, you could argue that like you bring Bellinger in, you keep Chisholm, you go get Goldschmidt, who's been pretty good so far. Like in the aggregate, I do think that they've made up for Soto's offensive like value, right?
Right.
My question becomes like, is Goldschmidt going to hit 340? Like, no, you know, like, so I think it's going to be a matter of when, not if, but when these guys fall down to earth, what does that look like? Because I'll tell you what, like, if Ben Rice falling down to earth means that he bats 260 and knocks 25 homers out, like,
okay, right. Then
he's good, you know, even if he hits 20 of them, you know, so if I'm in your position, I'm excited because I'm wondering like how real is this breakout for the offense? Like if all these guys start to break out, you're in great shape.
Yeah. I also have the same concern as you though, is like the crash could be catastrophic.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be a bad crash. Cause like I said at the open, like they're like most of the Yankee hitters right now are hitting, right? Like Volpe's hitting. Ben Rice is hitting. Wells is hitting. Goldschmidt's hitting. Like, they're putting up numbers. If they all crash out in May, I mean, they're going to go 5-25. Like, you know, like that could be a catastrophic crash out. So I don't know. I like, yes, I'm excited, but that's why I'm cautiously excited because I know that this is not who everybody. Now, do I hope that like Ben Rice stays in the red on you know his baseball savant page for the whole season? Sure, I do. And I think if he does that, he's probably going to hit 260, 270 and smack 20 bombs. Like, I like what I see from the kid. But if his drop off is, 0 for 35 and he's just back to what he was last year, then I think it's easy the Red Sox win the division. Like, I don't even think it's close. I think the Red Sox win the division by 8 or 9 games.
I'd be surprised by that. But I will say, like, the one thing that I would caution you with the Yankees is, like, you played a Brewers team that I think is not great to start and doesn't really – I mean, they're just not that competitive, I don't think.
Right.
And then Diamondbacks are good, but they come in and beat you 2 out of 3. And then it's like, okay, now you're 2-2 in games against Pittsburgh and Detroit since. Like, I do think it's worth noting this is a very soft schedule to begin the season for them. Like, and it's a good thing because they kind of need that in April with their injury situation. But, like, it does make me want to say pump the brakes a little, like, because even you get Tigers and then you're hosting the Giants. And then you're rounding out the month. You're going to go play the Rays at your spring training facility. Like, they've like this first half of April for them. I'm glad for the Yankees that they are getting some ground because this is a spot where they needed to gain ground. Like, if you come out of the first half of April under 500, and then you're going on the road to Cleveland and on the road to Baltimore, like the schedule starts to bow up.
Right.
So I'm interested to see, like, can these offensive players keep that going? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be, I think, the story for most of the season. All right, so let's move to this. So I mean, I would call this pretty significant news, Dalton. I mean, I think that there's it genuinely takes a massive free agent out of next year's free agent class. 26-year-old Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Has agreed to an extension with the Toronto Blue Jays, 14 years, $500 million. Again, 26 years old. He's going to be a career Blue Jay from here on out. 4-time All-Star. So far this season, OPS at 667 in 10 games. He's homerless to start, so he hasn't had the best start. But he's an all-star caliber player. He's made the all-star team each of the last 4 seasons. Former number 1 prospect in baseball. There was a lot of noise surrounding the Mets going after him next offseason, the Red Sox going after him next offseason, and him being interested in those places. But Toronto working out the deal. So what are your thoughts? Vladdy, $500 million to stay in Canada. What do you think?
So, like all deals of this ilk, it's going to come down to what does he do for the next 5 years? And I think if I'm a Blue Jays fan, what excites me most about the deal is that now that, like, you have a Vladimir Guerrero window that you need to operate within.
Yeah.
And so if I'm a Blue Jays fan, I'm thinking, like, okay, well, you better build a team around him, right? Like, so we'll see. Like, what I'm hoping for his sake is that this doesn't turn into like a Trout type of thing where the Blue Jays are like, well, we've got our guy and he's going to sell tickets and we're going to, like, kind of try to win, but So I'm hoping that the Blue Jays are able to make that count because it's a great fan base up there. I'd like to see them, like, have something to celebrate. And I want to see teams get rewarded for paying a guy like that, like going out and being like, no, this is our guy. We want to make him a Blue Jay for life. We're willing to do it. And this is a Blue Jays franchise that's lost out on a lot of big free agents in recent years where we know they've made a run at them. So, like, I give them credit for continuing to throw the money bags around and find a way to get him signed. I hope it works out. That being said, like, you're not signing that deal because you're excited about what the last 6 years of it are going to look like. But the last 6 years of that deal could be really bad, like Pujols with the Angels bad.
Oh, yeah.
Because that body's not going to hold up.
No. But like, here's the thing. Like, so you're paying him till he's 40, right? Like, that's what this deal does. You're paying him till he's 40. But I kind of fall in line with exactly what you just said. like the first 5-6 years of the contract are way more important than the fallout of the last 5 years. Like it is. That's what you're paying. Like I think Vladdy Jr. Here's the thing with Vladdy Jr. for me. Now I could get some pushback on this. I don't think he's worth $500 million. I don't think he's a $500 million player. Like if you want to go as far as like maybe he's a 300, like a $10-3 million player, fine. 500 million where he's up there in similar categories with Trout and Betts and like obviously he's not making Ohtani or Soto money, but like, you know, like he's making more money than Aaron Judge. Like that's, and I don't really, you know, again, like I don't think comparing contracts depending on when they were paid and what the market was like, I think there are so many factors that go into that, but like at the same time, I like Vladdy Jr. I don't think he's a $500 million player. I think this is a pretty drastic overpay. I really do. Now, Toronto, I think you bring up a very good point of the Blue Jays were very, very in on Juan Soto and missed. They were very, very in on Shohei Ohtani. Now, everybody expected Ohtani to go to the Dodgers, but the Blue Jays pushed fucking hard to get Ohtani and missed. They are like they've tried to they've had like an $800 million hole burning in their pocket that they are dying to spend. And that's what I kept telling everybody is like, they are not going to let Vladdy Jr. go. He's their own guy. They will pay him more than anybody else. It doesn't matter. They're not going to let him go. Because they want to spend the money anyway. So,
right.
But yeah, I think it's a drastic overpay.
So I struggle with calling things an overpay because I'm like, these owners have bottomless pits of money. Who cares? But in terms of like value for your dollar, oh, dude, it's an awful overpay. Like, I mean, think about it this way. I'm looking at the yearly leaders in WAR. Okay. He in his career has been top 10 in Major League Baseball in WAR once. And he finished 10th in 2021. Never in his career has he been top 9 in WAR in Major League Baseball. Like, and they're like guys who have done that during that time. Matt Chapman, Andres Jimenez, Robbie Ray. Like, he's not a $500 million player.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
Well, here's the thing. In 2021, too, he put up 1,000 OPS. But, like, again, if I'm paying $500 million, like, his OPS, I'll just go through this. So, he came into the major leagues in 2019. Here's his OPS: 772, 791, 1,002, 818, 788, 940, and 667 so far this year. Like, if I'm paying you $500 million, I need like 900, 950 OPS pretty much every year.
Yeah.
I need that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you expect. I mean, the thing that's alarming to me is like, I would make the argument that over the last 5 years, Ketel Marte has been more valuable than Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
I agree.
I would argue that like Jose Ramirez definitely has been more valuable. But the reason I mentioned Ketel Marte is look at the deal that Ketel Marte just got compared to Vladimir.
I know.
And I get that he's a lot older, but like think about the year-by-year price that you're paying for each of those players. I would take in a vacuum Marte over Guerrero, right? Like if you're not thinking about the age situation. So, yeah. I mean, look, I don't want to like beat up the Blue Jays for it because I'm really happy that they did it, just from like a baseball fan perspective. Mm-hmm. But value-wise, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
They're going to try and win. Like that's one of the things I want to point out is that I think the Blue Jays are going to really try. Like they're going to try and make this work.
Which is
I don't view the Blue Jays in the same light that I do the Angels. Right. The Angels are one of the most poorly run teams in sports. I don't know that the Blue Jays are terribly poorly run. I think that they just ran into like a certain crop of players that didn't exactly pan out the way they wanted to.
Yeah.
Right. Like Bo Bichette's a solid player. He's not a perennial all-star that they thought he was going to be. Right. So like, but they're going to spend money. Like they've shown the willingness to spend money, develop players, invest in the farm system. Like I think they're really going to try, and there's a chance that this works out. But I agree. I hope that they don't end up in a Troutish situation where like it just doesn't, Vladdy's just going to see the playoffs once or twice in 14 years, because he is a good player. I mean, let's not make the mistake that Vladdy's like some bum that they decided.
No,
he can rate.
He's a very good player, but he's not a top. I would argue he's not. I would argue he's pretty certainly not a top 10 player in baseball. Is what I'm getting at.
Definitely not.
And
definitely not.
If you're not a top 10 player in baseball, $500 million is an overpay. Period.
But that's he's also 26, and I think that's a part of it too. Is that he's so young?
Yeah.
That they're just like, you know what? Fuck it. We're just going to give him Patrick Mahomes money.
And you worry about 2035 and 2035. You don't worry about that now. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. This is aside, like a little bit of an aside from what we've been doing on the show, but 2025 WAR leaderboard so far. I don't want you to pull it up.
Okay.
I'm looking at the top 10 players in WAR so far this season.
Okay.
I will Venmo you $5 if you can name two. If you can name 2 of the top 10 players in WAR so far this season. You get 10 guesses. I'll Venmo you $5 if you get 2 right.
Oh God. Now, is it going to ruin my credibility if I don't get it right? Or is it just so obscure that, like...
I'll put it this way. There's not a single name on this top 10 that has been in the top 10 to finish any of the last 5 years.
Heliot Ramos.
0 for 1.
Damn it. All right. How many guesses do I get? Do I get 10 guesses?
You get 10 guesses, try to get 2.
Okay. Overall WAR. Okay. So it's not Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is not on that list?
He is not on the list.
How is that possible?
I think it's a fair question to ask, but he's not.
That's beyond me. Okay. Trent Grisham.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm trying to think here. Willie Abreu.
Number 2. You got 1. Okay. 1 for 4.
Yep. He's just off to such a hot start. Let's see. I will go with Tommy Edman.
That's a great guess, but no.
Okay. God, I need help. I need help in the comments section right now.
You got 5 more guesses. Well, somebody might be looking at it, but
I know. I need help. I need some help here. I don't want to go 1 for 10.
And this is baseball reference WAR, by the way, not Fangraphs WAR. But that's not going to make a difference. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't like I know what that means. Stop, Dalton. I'm not as smart as you. All right. Let's see. Michael Bush.
No.
I'm that was just off the top of the dome. Let's go with I'm really trying to think here. Wow. Trying to make it so that there's not dead air, so I have to kind of talk through when I'm trying to think. Do I get a hint? Like, can I have like a team or something?
No, but I'm going to give you about 60 more seconds, then I'm going to read them off to you.
Okay, all right, fine. Let me just see if I can rattle off like 1 or 2 more guesses just off the top of the dome. I don't know. Lane Thomas.
No.
just tell me. I don't know.
All right.
If it's not obscure, just tell me.
Here's our top 10 in WAR so far this season. There are a couple names that I'm not shocked by, but this is a wild list.
Okay.
Shota Imanaga, Wilyer Abreu, Kyle Tucker, Chris Bubich, Spencer Schwellenbach, Mitchell Parker, Matthew Boyd, Nico Horner, Anthony Volpe, and Nathan Eovaldi.
That's bizarre. Nathan,
Right.
Hold on a minute. So Nathan Eovaldi had that one like gem,
Yeah.
I guess. But Anthony Volpe has a higher WAR than Aaron Judge.
Yep.
Right? That's so crazy. See why? So can you tell me why WAR is a good stat then?
So WAR is an amazing stat because it encompasses like as many. I mean, look, it's not perfect, but it encompasses as many factors as anything. I mean, you're factoring park factor. Like it's an incredible stat, but it's not a very useful stat after a week. Because I mean, after a week, you're almost better off just going with counting stats to be like who's been the most impressive so far. It requires a lot bigger of a sample to accurately like provide useful information. Because think about it this way, right? Like Wilyer Abreu has 1.1 WAR. Aaron Judge has 0.7 WAR. The actual difference between those two things is so meaningless, like just so minuscule at this point. So yeah, I mean, it's more of just like a for fun thing where I'm looking at these lists, like, you know, and I'll give you last year's too. So this is how last year's finished out.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt, Shohei Ohtani, Gunnar Henderson, Jaron Duran, Juan Soto, Matt Chapman, Francisco Lindor, Jose Ramirez, Ketel Marte. That makes sense.
That makes a ton of sense, right?
And this year's list will make sense probably in about a month. Like it's not going to take that long. But
You're
right
now, Chris Bubich is not going to be number one in WAR by the time
I would bet against
it comes around.
Hey, you never know, but I'd bet against it.
That was fun. I like when you make me guess stuff, even when I get them wrong. All right, last thing before we go, and we don't have to spend too long on this, but I requested that we do this topic because it made me so fucking angry over the weekend that I wanted to punch holes in my wall. So to preface, the Yankees lost to the Pirates in extra innings on Sunday. Okay. Whatever. I don't care. Well, I shouldn't say I don't care. I do care. I mean, like early in the season, but yeah, it was a tough loss. Here's the thing that happened in both of those games. The two most exciting players in the entire game both saw plate appearances in extra innings. Aaron Judge, who was intentionally walked, and O'Neal Cruz, who was intentionally walked. That is why this rule, forget about the fact that it's just plain gimmicky and stupid, okay? Forget about that. That is why this rule is the worst possible fucking rule you can have in a sport, okay? Just from a fan's perspective, okay? You would want to see Aaron Judge in these big moments. You'd want to see the O'Neal Cruzes. You'd want to see whoever else, right? Just using this game as an example. You'd want to see the best players in big moments. This rule specifically, and to be honest, the problem is that it makes perfect baseball sense to intentionally walk those guys. It does. In those situations, it makes perfect baseball sense. It does. But it's fucking terrible for the game. It's terrible for the game. Like, all of a sudden, now I'm stuck watching Jazz Chisholm, no disrespect, but watching Jazz Chisholm and Joey Bart hit in big spots instead. Tommy Pham got the walk-off hit in Pittsburgh yesterday. Like, are we fucking kidding? We don't even get to, so we don't get to see Aaron Judge even see a pitch, first of all. We don't get to see O'Neal. So these guys are 6'6". They hit the ball 120 miles an hour consistently, and we don't see them hit in the pinnacle of a baseball game. That's why this rule fucking sucks. And it's killing the game. Killing it. So if the petition needs to start here to end the rule, I'll fucking do it now. I don't care. It is the dumbest rule in the history of sports. It is so fucking dumb. It makes me want to fucking cut somebody's head off. It is unbelievable. So, please, so that I can catch my breath.
Yeah. So,
God.
Okay. Take a deep breath. Look, here's the reality. If Aaron Judge was batting third in that inning, right, you probably don't run into that situation. You're probably not this angry today. I will tell you this. I agree with you that it's not a great rule in terms of like, let's create the best possible competitive game, right? Like, I don't like it. That being said, the players like it, and it's not going anywhere. And in the postseason, it has not been implemented, right? So in that sense, I don't like it either, but I'm willing to live with it as long as it doesn't enter the playoffs. If we start getting ghost runners in the postseason, that's when I'll be upset. And maybe it's just because Rob Manfred has beaten me into submission by doing so many things that I hate. Mm-hmm. But of the things that I hate that he does, this is one of the ones that at this point bothers me less than some others. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure it sucks when in a game like that, those two guys are getting intentionally walked. I agree with you on it. Now, I think that's a little bit more circumstantial than anything. But yeah, I don't know. I'll put it this way. I agree with you, but it's not worth that level of energy at this point. It's not changing, you know?
Dude, I am, but here's the thing. It's been boiling my balls ever since I put it in play. I fucking hated it.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks.
Because I also think it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
What does it do?
I mean, that's the way I feel about the pitch clock, but you know.
But what does it actually do, Dalton? Like the extra runner on second base, the goal of the rule was to make games end quicker, right? They want the game to be sped up. That's the whole point, right? So they want games to not go 15, 16 innings long. Well, I think the number before the rule was implemented was like 93 or 94% of games that went into extra innings resolved itself before the 12th. Like, so what did it do? It saved you 15 minutes? Not even?
Yeah. I mean, I share in your frustration. I don't have the fight in me right now to fight with Manfred, but I share in your frustration. I get it.
Blows me away. It really does. It really blows me away. Anyway, you got picks today, Dalton? Hot corner?
Yeah. We're finally at a point where I can look at some games. And
I didn't do score updates today. That's sad. Whatever.
I can do one. You want me to do one?
Go ahead, do it.
Yeah, let's whip around the league. So I'm just going to go in the order that they show up in my MLB app. We got the Dodgers trailing the Nationals 6-4 in the bottom of the 8th. That's in D.C. We've got Royals up 3-1 on the Twins in the 5th from Kansas City. That is a game where it looks like Lorenzen is pitching pretty well for Kansas City. Pirates up 8-3 on the Cardinals in the bottom of the 8th. Red Sox, we talked all this positive stuff about their offense. They're down 4-1 in the bottom of the 8th, and Jose Barrios is still on the mound.
5-1. 5-1 now.
5-1. Mets 1, Marlins nothing, end of the 6th. Rangers trailing the Cubs 3-0 in Chicago in the 5th. And Orioles and Diamondbacks starting here in about 35 minutes, as is Astros Mariners. We're about 40 minutes away from Reds Giants in San Francisco. And the last game of the night, 10:05 Eastern, will be Michael King and Luis Severino from Sacramento. I've actually got 3 picks left tonight, Mike. Most of my games were kind of late that I bet on, so I'll just share all 3. I grabbed Arizona as a small -120 favorite over Baltimore. I'm selling Baltimore right now in general. I think that I just don't think they've done enough to reinforce their pitching staff. and a lot of these young guys have kind of come back down to earth, and the league has adjusted to them a little bit. I think Arizona with Gallen on the mound at minus 120 at home is pretty cheap. I think we're getting the better starter. I think we're getting the better lineup. So give me the Diamondbacks in that one. I'm taking Houston plus 150 on the road at Seattle. I think, look, Logan Gilbert is obviously really good, but that environment in Seattle tamps down both offenses, and I think Wisniewski can do enough against the Mariners to keep them in that game. And the margins are going to be thin enough that, like, if you're giving me 1.5 to 1 at plus 150, I think if the Astros can stay in that game late, they just have so much more power, more firepower on offense, and can come through there. So that's a game that I'd make closer to a pick 'em. So I'll take the plus 150. And then the last one, my favorite pick of the evening, San Diego minus, let's see, what's the best number you can get right now? I got them at minus 140. They're minus 148 at DraftKings now. I still like that. Luis Severino has looked pretty good. He looked good in New York last year. So far, his first start, 6 scoreless. Cubs got to him a little bit, but he's looked decent so far for Oakland. But this ballpark with that bullpen is going to be a problem for them.
Right. And
this is one of those games where you've got a Padres team that's playing well. They have the better lineup, and I still would take Michael King over Severino. Yeah. So I get, like, laying minus 148 is not always comfortable, but the Padres are the better team in all 3 phases here. I think they're hungry after that series in Chicago didn't go so well. And I'm telling you, the way the ball flies around that ballpark in Oakland is not going to be good for the A's when they're facing superior opponents like this. So San Diego minus 148, swallow the juice. We'll win it back on the Houston game. That's what I got the rest of the night.
Yeah, I share in your sentiment on that. By the way, Padres A's in Sacramento tonight. Michael King, Luis Severino, 2 former Yankee greats going at it tonight. Feel pretty good about that. Just Yankee pitching all over the league, all over the league now. All right,
to ever do it.
What's that?
2 of the best Yankees to ever do it.
2 of the best Yankees to ever do. I still miss Michael King. I missed him all of last year, and I still miss him now. But all right, that does it for us. That's Dalton Brown. I'm Mike Guido. This is the Bicoastal Baseball Podcast on the Grid Network every Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern. Baseball is in full swing. We'll be covering the entire league throughout the entire year. So stay tuned with us, and we will see you next week.